Hey, what is up guys, I'm Xteria, and this is the series of what I learned is the strongest thing to play and set 16 PBE, day 4. The reason why I'm doing this series is because there's going to be a patch every day, if not every other day, so if you want to keep up to date with the info, consider hitting that subscribe button for future content. And speaking of patches, today there was a patch that is actually pretty big, so if you want to check this out, this will be in the description below. Within that tweet itself too, they're going to slow down on patches because of holiday, so therefore there's going to be one more patch that will change up the meta pretty hard. Then from there we just have to figure out how to play the set. Then there's probably gonna be like 1 or 2 more patches before live. Then we figure out the meta by then. The one thing we really have to highlight though about this patch is that if you haven't seen Ryze as much in your games, this is the reason why, is because the unlock condition is 4 active traits, now nerfed to 5. So therefore, most likely we probably have to hit level 9 in order to play Ryze. And that's what I thought at first, until someone came to my chat and came to the rescue, told me the secret tech of how to play Ryze still at level 8. And the tech is you must have, almost no matter what, a Poppy, which is an unlock unit, and it's easy to unlock her. All you have to do is just have a Demacia or Yordle unit holding 2 items, so you guarantee Poppy at least no matter what. The other unit is Zinzao. So as we see here, they're both Demacia. And the other unit you need no matter what, which you will get eventually as well, like Poppy, is Kennen. And most likely should be able to get him, because if you do want to play Ryze, you probably have to play from a Demacia opener or some sort of Ionia opener. So you need these 3 units no matter what, and Poppy and Kennen both have Yordle synergy active. So that's 1 regional trait down. The way how I like to play it is with Piltover. So we have Vi and any +1 Piltover, like for example Loris. So now we have Piltover and Yordle active, so that's 2 regional traits. From here, we just put 1 more Demacia unit, like any random Demacia, it doesn't really matter. You can throw in like J4. So now we have 3 regional active traits, which is Piltover, Demacia, and Yordle. And as we see here, we're missing at least just 1 more Ionia, so just throw random Ionia unit, it doesn't matter which one. You could throw in, for example, like an Ahri, and now we have 4, and the easiest thing to do here is throw out a 5th one, which is Targon. So now we have 5 regional traits, which is super easy to do. But the problem is, this board is so bad at level 8, you will lose during that time when you try to get Ryze. So just remember, if you do play Ryze, you have to sack at least 1 round. There is one more other way of doing it. Besides doing Piltover, you can do +1 Void as well, which is like Kog'Maw and Cho'Gath, or whatever Void, like +2 Void, and you still get the same results. It's just, in the end, you have to play at least these 3 units no matter what. So that means you have Ionia, Demacia, and Yordle no matter what. Then put in 1 Targon, then just flex around between the other 2 that we mentioned. But if I were to play the Ryze board, most of the time I play from a Sona opener angle, and this will be my board most of the time when I play it. Main reason why, because the synergies here is pretty decent as you're progressing when you're playing, and most of the time I'll have like a Shojin Jewel Gauntlet. Then from here, when I do get Ryze, then I pivot into a completely different board, which would be to have a Ryze already. So I sell Sona and get Ryzen, and then from here I look for Garen, because we're probably going to keep Kennen in for that Yordle. And at the same time too, I position like this during the round as well when I'm getting Ryze. So this means that you're able to get set. So instead of having this Ahri, now we have set on the board. So this will be the board I will play most of the time. Then just position everything back in the front. And because we can't fit 9 units, then this will be the board that I will play most of the time to try to hit level 9. This isn't the best board to play, but this should be enough to hopefully hit level 9 so you can play a better board later. And in most cases, I kind of do hit out because Demacia Ryze hits pretty hard. If you want to play different types of boards, you can with Ryze. This is just what I do, because it's easier to do. If you somehow do get an Azir when you're rolling down, you can just get rid of Vi and just have your Sand Soldiers out. And you can take out Loris for a +1 Targon at this point. So at least you have some synergies on your board. Then hopefully you can get Shurima on the board so Ryze couldn't just destroy everything. The synergies you do get for the budget version is Demacia, so you get Execution if they're below a certain threshold. And Ionia just splits the ability even more, so you do more damage that way. The ones I keep the most is Demacia and, scrolling down here, Yordle. The reason why I like to keep Yordle, because you actually make enemies do less damage, so therefore you can survive a lot longer. And if you do have Targon, it does heal the board a little bit. And Shurima you must have no matter what, because it's so broken. You knock up enemies, so basically you stun them for a bit. If you do kill them, then you probably have potential to get gold. And if you do get Piltover, you do even more damage. It's up to you which ones you want to keep for synergies to make Ryze do more damage. But I would say it's always Demacia and Yordle, and obviously always Shurima. Other comps that's still really good in the current patch would be Kaisa, and the reason why is because they buff Kaisa for both AD and AP, so you can play whichever style you want to. Personally, I like to play the AP route, where you put Guinsoo's Rage Blade, Jewel Gauntlet, and +1 AP item, or Strikers, either one's fine. Main tank your Rift Herald, play 6 Bruisers. I do have a full explanation of this comp from my last video yesterday, so if you want to check that out, it will be in the description. But yeah, if you do want to play AD, you could by just putting Shojin, IE, and something like Giant Slayer or something like that. But apparently, from what I heard, one of my friends told me that probably like triple AD is really good as well. So you could put something like Strikers or Deathblade. Apparently just doing this is better, apparently. Since the Shojin doesn't really do much on her, you just want to one-shot everything. But it's totally up to you which style you want to do, is triple damage or Shojin with 2 damage items. Personally, I like playing AP, so I stick to AP. I'm probably never going to play the AD version. Next up is the max cap version of GP reroll. As you see here, there's a lot of legendaries, and the reason why is because Bilgewater allows you to get GP3 very easily. And I would suggest to roll at level 8. So try to play your best board with GP or any Bilgewater at the beginning, and you build up to at least around this. And you most likely won't have Fiddle yet. If you do roll into it, that's good. Most likely you probably might have Ambessa, so at least have some sort of Vanquisher for GP so you can crit. And Tahm Kench, you probably won't have it by then either, so just use a different Bilgewater unit. The reason why you want to do 5 Bilgewater is because it makes it to where you gain more loot, so you can 3-star your GP easier. And if you need me to dump this down a little bit more, because most likely you won't get Lucian and Tahm Kench, just use Graves and you still get Gunner and you still get 5 Bilgewater. So this board will be even more budget friendly. And just throw in a +1 unit, it doesn't really matter. If you want to get Aatrox though, you will get him at level 8, and his quest is to have a lot of lifesteal, around like 40%. So the best way of doing that is to have Bloodthirster and Hodge. You must force these items and put it on GP, then you can transfer the Bloodthirster or whatever items later on him. If not, you can keep Bloodthirster on GP and build something like this is fine. Just as long as you build these two, you summon Aatrox. Another comp that I've been finding a lot of success with is playing Ambessa carry level 8 into level 9 legendary. And as we see here in my match history, I got like 2nd, 1st, and 3rd. This is like the first time I did it, and I actually felt like I knew what I was doing afterwards. So next game I did it, I got 1st. The next game after that, I got 2nd because I lost to Ryze, since Ryze is really OP. But yeah, the concept is just tempo as much as you can, hit level 8, roll down for Ambessa, Swain, and +1 Noxus. Most of the time, it won't be Mel, since you have to wait for her quest, which is you have to have 3 items on Ambessa, let her die, then you get Mel. And most of the time I would use Scion instead. Then I just play my best board. It doesn't really matter. You just mix and match whatever you can, and then hit level 9, then roll for any legendaries. I mix and match with like using Lucian and Senna or Kindred. Either one's fine. It doesn't really matter. And the main thing you would want is to have at least these units over here. It could be Renekton as well or Nasus. Either one's fine. And then just flex whatever you can over here. Doesn't really matter. This is like a high tempo or high econ comp, so it's up to you on how you want to play it. For your items, I like to put like Hodge and plus whatever I can on Ambessa. Like Styrax is fine, or Edge of Night, or Titans, just as long as Ambessa can stay alive with decent amount of damage, and Mel with Morellicon, because she's actually really good with this item. I don't put items on Azir, I like putting items on Mel instead. If you want to, you can put Ryze on this board, but the reason why I don't do it is because you're going to be losing some HP towards the late game trying to play Ambessa into level 9. So that's why I don't really play Ryze with this board. But if you could fit it in, then that's good. Another comp that's pretty decent, but the issue is it's kind of nerfed a little bit because Singer's Poison is nerfed by a little bit, but this a little bit does hurt him a lot. I kind of felt the huge difference when I played him today, but it's still a comp to consider playing since it's super easy to play this comp because it's just 7 Zon with Seraphine as a secondary carry. Your main carry here is Singe, and you just put Ziggs items on Seraphine. You can put whatever, it doesn't really matter. Because when you hit level 9, then you can throw them in, so you have a more powerful board and just transfer to whatever items you had from Seraphine to Ziggs. And the thing about this comp, the reason why it works with Seraphine is because Vi is Piltover. So you just look for any like Piltover debuff to slow down the enemy. And Echo is also a disruptor with Seraphine, so she gains that extra damage. And when you do hit level 9 here, you can throw in Kindred in over the Jinx in my opinion. The reason why is because Kindred is actually pretty strong. So this is actually a pretty good +1. And Jinx doesn't really do much, in my opinion. If you want to keep Jinx, you can. Instead of having the Kindred in, you can just keep Jinx and throw in Lucian in instead. And then just take out the Warwick. Because there's really no other units you can take out here. If you really want to take out the Echo, you can, but I prefer having the Echo in for Seraphine. But yeah, it's totally up to you on which style you want to do. It's just the end result is 7 Zon with Singe carry and having Ziggs as your secondary carry towards the late game with Seraphine holding his items until you make it there. Another comp that I've been seeing being played more is Yasuo reroll, and it actually looks pretty good because as soon as you get 2 level 2 Yasuos now, which they buffed it, you're able to get Yone. So this means that you use whatever Slayer until you almost 3-star Yasuo, then you can trade out that Slayer into Yone, and then when you hit level 7, then you can throw in a +1 Ionia to max out your Ionia, and that will be Ari by then. And then to play the max cap board, you switch out Jin for Yunara, you switch out Xin Zhao for Set. If you're not playing Xin Zhao 3, you could do that. This is what I prefer as well. Then your last unit you throw in is Wukong, and instead of Ahri, you look for a +1 quick striker unit, like for example, a Kindred. So now we have 2 bruisers at least for a decent amount of tank, and we also have 2 backline units to do extra damage on. If you can't find Kindred, you could use Draven until then, because Draven gives you some econ, and it hit level 9 and it throw in a +1 unit. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I've been seeing this being played a lot, and it actually does top 4 pretty well. Another version of Yasuo reroll that you can do is potentially Ashe and Tryndamere reroll. This is actually a better version of playing the comp, because you're able to 3-star Trynd, Yasuo, Ashe, and Xin Zhao. So you have a lot of 2-star units that you can 3-star, and you should be able to do it pretty easily because you're holding onto a lot of 2-cost units. The concept here is just to have Tryndamere as your main carry, and you want to put BT and either Titans or QSS +1 item like Sterex or Giant Slayer, Deathblade, whatever. And you want to put Last Whisper on Ashe with some sort of attack speed like Guinsoo's Rageblade. And you have to itemize both Ashe and Tryndamere. The reason why is because they have something called Bloodsworn Bond, which makes it to where both of these units synergizes off of one another. And then whatever leftover items you can put on Yasuo, it's fine. Because when you 3-star Yasuo, you get Yone. And you can look for a +1 failure unit until then. Like for example, you could just use your Sejuani or something like that until you can find Braum. Braum is better here because of Xin Zhao, and Xin Zhao gives you Warden as well with Braum. And when you hit level 8, you can trade out this GP for Aatrox. That's if you have enough lifesteal from Tryndamere. You should be able to get Aatrox if you're able to complete his quest, and you just put whatever +1 unit at level 8. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, this style of the comp is actually pretty cool, and I've only seen it being played once, and they actually got first with it. Other repeated comps that we could just talk about here real quick is going to be the Yunara board. I feel like a lot of people already seen this, so there's really no point for me to explain it fully, but essentially it's just Guinsoo's Rageblade, Kraken, IE on Yunara. If you can't build Kraken, it's fine, you can just flex around. As long as you have Rageblade and IE is all you need. And the reason why this board works really well is because they all synergize really well together, as we see here. And the reason why this positioning is actually pretty good is because the extra 10% damage champ from the tower doesn't really matter too much to Yunara, but for the rest of the board, it gives him more HP over here. And for Kubuko's case, which would make his healing from Yuumi even better, and Yuumi will always go to Yunara first because she goes to the person with the most highest attack speed unit on the board, and it'll give them even more attack speed. So this is the reason why Yunara is very strong with Kubuko. And then when you hit level 9, you just throw out Kindred, since you can't really get Ryze anymore since they nerfed it. If you really want to try for Ryze, go for it, but at this point, just throw out Kindred instead. Another version of Yunara that I played, and I just won out recently, there's going to be a full gameplay of that video soon, so if you want to see that, it'll be this thumbnail here. But essentially what I did was I just put AP items on Set, so he can just one-shot everything. And when Set has to go back to do his passive, to do his sit-ups, everything else walks up in the meantime, and Fiddlesticks just jumps in and one-shots everything, and this board just annihilates everything. If you're wondering how I got to this point, it's mainly just because for Set's case, you're able to get him no matter what if you position everything like this, because if there is no units in the front besides one unit, you're able to unlock him. So it's easy to get Set no matter what. Fiddlesticks, I just high-rolled that game, and Kindred was my level 9 unit. If you can't get Fiddlesticks yet, you should throw in a +1 Vanquisher unit like GP or something until you can find Fiddlesticks later. Basically about it, I just 2-starred everything. Draven gives me more econ over time so I can hit level 9, and I played my full board. Just remember, when you are playing Yunara, there's so many different boards you can play. This is just another variation of how I played it. She's probably like the most flexible 4-cost unit out there. Other comps I'm briefly gonna talk about, mainly due because they're pretty easy to play, or for Silas' case is because I haven't experimented enough yet. But Yasuo is still really strong even after the nerfs. Brock is probably like one of the best 5-cost units you can throw out there. So if you're playing Ixtal, try to get 500 stacks so you can summon Brock. And Sion Bard reroll, still really good either way. Even though Sion got nerfed, it's still a pretty good comp. And Silas is strong, but I just need to experiment with him more to see which version is better, either full Arcanist or full Defender. Since they did nerf Arcanist like last patch, I still need to experiment it with more. And that's basically about it for what I know is strong in day 4 of TFT set 16 PBE. If you have any questions about the comps, just let me know in the comment section down below. Try to answer the best of my capabilities, or you can ask me while I'm live streaming either on Twitch or on YouTube. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.